Could WWE be making some massive plans for Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson at SummerSlam? We're going to talk about it in today's video, but we got to kick things off with another potential return. Guys, we got to talk about Randy Orton. This is obviously some really unfortunate news, but for those who missed it, Fightful Select came out and reported that while Randy Orton is currently healing up from his injuries, it is not enough for him to make a return to the company. As of this week, WWE creative sources have noted that Orton has not been factored into WWE creative plans whatsoever. The report noted that there hadn't been an extensive conversation about the plans for Orton, and keep in mind, despite recent photos of Randy Orton looking good and looking in shape and looking healthy, we all know that his injury was a serious injury, and that's why he's been away from TV. But it just kind of goes to show you how badly needed he is for television, because I feel like WWE can very well utilize Randy Orton on television. I think he is definitely missed on television, and this is just the reality, guys. I think a lot of people are kind of forgetting about this aspect of it. But if they're going to bring Randy Orton back, I don't think it's going to get leaked. I think WWE is going to want to try and keep this as a very legitimate surprise. And it's very difficult in today's day and age with dirt sheets and everybody leaking things. But ultimately, Randy Orton has been missed on television. I assume that WWE understands what's at stake with Randy. I can see part of this being very, very low profile. And I think that's the way it should be, to be honest with you. You know, my whole thing has always been about health before wealth. But at the same time, too, the photos of him, again, he looks healthy. He looks like he's in shape. When the time is right, I'm not saying it's going to be this weekend. I'm not going to say it's not going to be today, tomorrow, whatever. But when the time is right, when Randy is ready to return, I would like to see him return. I think WWE's product needs him. I think there could be a lot of great stories for Randy Orton. And if Roman Reigns is still holding the Undisputed Championship after SummerSlam, he's going to need some credible opponents, and Randy Orton definitely fills that void. So just want to throw that out there. Don't get excited for him to return just yet, but also at the same time, too, keep an open mind that potentially anything is possible. Guys, WWE might have some major plans for Drew McIntyre. I absolutely love this. He did an interview with Phil Strum from Under the Ring, and basically just talking about some things that he would like to do in the WWE. He goes on to say that a feud with Cody Rhodes would be, in fact, money. He says, "Me and Cody Rhodes were the tag team champions. We were both about 24 years old, the dashing ones." A lot of people forget that, but yeah, similar journeys. We got the dashing ones thing, and there's a lot of other story elements and things that weren't even on TV that can be touched upon. That's a money story down the line, and when the time is right, I don't even want to think about touching that until the time is right, but it will be a big deal when it happens. Now, guys, here's the thing. We got Gunther versus Drew McIntyre at SummerSlam. We're going to talk about this more on my prediction show, but I genuinely don't believe Drew McIntyre should be walking out of SummerSlam with the Intercontinental Championship, and it's not that he's not worthy or anything like that, but I really, really want to see Drew McIntyre tap into a full-time heel role. And I think the best way to do that is actually by losing to Gunther. And when he loses to Gunther, he's going to have to take his frustration out on somebody else. Now, we keep talking about Cody Rhodes facing adversity on his way back to the WWE Undisputed Championship. And in order for that to happen, it's not going to happen overnight, and it's got to happen within time. And I think there's two credible names that should be the next opponent for Cody to make his journey a living hell. And that includes Drew McIntyre and Bray Wyatt. Now, I've talked about Bray Wyatt before because I feel like Bray Wyatt and Cody have a lot of history, especially when you look at Bray Wyatt and everything that he did in NXT. You got to keep Dusty Rhodes on the top of your mind when thinking about that. And you got to think about the promo ability between the two. But when I think of a big storyline for Cody Rhodes, if it doesn't involve Bray Wyatt, Drew McIntyre as a heel would be absolutely phenomenal. And I think a lot of that is due to their journeys. They're very similar journeys. They both left. They both came back. And I think Drew can add a little bit of realism into that, right? If you have Drew McIntyre talking about, hey, like I left WWE, I did the same thing that you did, and I came back, and I didn't get the golden spoon. Whatever. I think there's a lot of good that could come from that story. I think there's a lot of great things that WWE can touch on from the past, just as Drew mentioned it. But also I feel like it's a very credible opponent for Cody as he fights his way back to the top. And I think that's always been the important thing, right? You don't want you don't want to have Cody face adversity through guys that are meaningless or directionless or guys with no value. And I think Drew McIntyre possesses that value that would be needed, and it would truly help Cody's journey back to the title. And now it's time for our final story of today's video, guys. We got to talk about The Rock. Roman Reigns was on First Take on ESPN. Him and Paul Heyman absolutely killed it on ESPN. But you know, here's the funny thing. Roman Reigns was asked about if anybody has what it takes to beat him, and he doesn't see that to be the case. He goes on to say, I don't see it. That's what this last year has been. People coming from all over. Brock Lesnar, John Cena, they come from Hollywood. They come from other sports. Logan Paul, it doesn't matter anymore. I'm head and shoulders above everyone. It's not even funny anymore. When asked, we don't see it. It includes The Rock. He talked about The Rock. He says he is head and shoulders above all of these people. He made sure to mention The Rock in ESPN First Take, and I think the reason why is because The Rock isn't working Hollywood right now. He ain't getting that paycheck from Hollywood right now. He's not doing work in Hollywood right now. XFL is not really the most successful thing right now. WWE has surprises planned for SummerSlam, and throughout the week we will talk more about them, but this is the one that really has me intrigued, because if The Rock is coming back to WWE, you do it at SummerSlam in Detroit as a legitimate surprise. I don't think WWE is doing this by accident. Grayson Waller doing the people's elbow, calling out The Rock on social media. I think WWE is going to use SummerSlam as a way to give us some little Easter egg with The Rock. Perhaps The Rock shows up at SummerSlam, gets involved with Grayson Waller, because that's who is obviously mocking The Rock. The Rock goes on his way. Next week on SmackDown, Roman Reigns cuts a promo and says his cousin couldn't even look at him in the face. I don't know. I'm just saying, you could have a lot of fun with the storytelling and the booking here, fantasy booking and whatnot, but the point that I'm trying to make is I don't feel like this is accidental. Roman Reigns, yet again, throwing The Rock in the mix. I think they got something planned. Now, for those who are wondering when it should happen, I'm at the point where it shouldn't happen at WrestleMania. I would do this at Fastlane, Payback, Survivor Series. I would do it at one of these pay-per-views because, look, you can save the match for a massive pay-per-view, and that's great. But at this point, I want Cody and Roman, and I don't want anything else. But if you want to have The Rock show up, you could put him on a B-level pay-per-view. I don't really care. But if they want to do it, they can, and it might even help with The Rock's schedule. And if anything, it just makes it feel that much more important of a pay-per-view that you can't miss. That's just my 2 cents. Let me know what you guys think down below.